Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome in. I'm Atriox, and today we got another Mortal Kombat 1 video for you. So, I want to talk about the possible story in the upcoming Khaos Reigns DLC, since we have, what, less than 2 months to go before we get our hands on a new story DLC. And I thought we could just discuss how we can see the DLC unfold by taking a look at a past one, Aftermath. We'll be using Aftermath as a reference sheet. Obviously, there's not a lot of info when it comes to the Khaos Reigns DLC as of yet. And sure, there is quite a bit of difference between what Aftermath was and what Khaos Reigns will be. But in my opinion, the events in Aftermath weren't exactly linear like most of the NRS games before Mortal Kombat 1. There has been a lot of moving around of the timelines, started by MK9 really, which was the reboot of the original timeline, where Shao Kahn won and Raiden sent his previous self visions to alter his past so they could fix the future. While MK Edge did technically stay on course and continued on from MK9, MK11, how can I put this like lightly? It was like someone was blitzed out of their mind and just saw the Avengers Endgame. It was like, yeah, let's copy and paste that here.
Oh, it's just like, dude, you get the best barrels ever, dude. Just like you pull in and you just get spit right out of them. And you just drop in and just smack the lip, whoop-ah, drop down, snap, ah, and then after that, you just drop in, just ride the barrel and get pitted.
But anyways, all joking aside, I understood why they did what they did, because let's be honest, they killed off almost all the champions from not just Earthrealm but also Outworld. And just to really prove that point, here's a list of the champions that have been killed from Outworld: Melina, Shao Kahn, Baraka, Goro, Sindel, Shang Tsung, Kitana, and Jade. If you think that's bad, Earthrealm was probably either equal or worse. Liu Kang dies again, so it's kind of really annoying when they just won't stop killing him off. Same thing with Kung Lao. Like in the original timeline, Johnny was the one that was supposed to die in the Mortal Kombat 3 era. Even though he did technically come back during that that trilogy, like MK Ultimate MK era, he did come back. But my point is they changed it, so now he wasn't the one that died. It was one of the Shaolin monks, which I thought was an interesting change. You know, it is what it is though. But yeah, moving on from that, it was Kung Lao, Smoke, Jax, Sub-Zero, Nightwolf, Striker, and Cabal. I'm also gonna count Cyrex and Sector because like they are champions of Earthrealm technically, even though like they're on the wrong side of you know, the actual fight. But I'm gonna say them both too, because like Sector was originally killed off by Sub-Zero, and more than likely Cyrex seemed like he had been decommissioned. Because like I was trying to figure out like what happened to Cyrex, but I don't remember anything really talking about it. Like, unless there's a comic I missed where they talked about it, like I don't really remember where Cyrex, if he did die, did it go from, because like I can't find it anywhere. But anyways, like this is like a far cry from the original timeline where he was actually a part of the special forces. Unfortunately, this time around he got the short end of the stick. I mean, we do get to see Triborg and MKX, but he's not really any of the original cyborgs. He's actually a combination of the original four. And I say original four in this timeline, not from the original timeline, because in this timeline Sub-Zero becomes a cyborg too, so technically it's Sector, Smoke, Cyrax, and Sub-Zero. Like obviously they use I think the special forces use the data collected by the Lin Kuei to try and like I guess make a weapon out of the cyborgs for like the Earthrealm, but it backfired, and like they ended up creating Triborg instead of just like bringing Cyrex back. Like obviously probably the better choice would have been just to make Cyrex have his free will again, that way he could like help Earthrealm out, but instead to try and go a bit further this time around, and it backfired. So instead of like having someone to protect Earthrealm, now he wants to destroy all organic life. That's pretty much, you know, what happened. But anyways, like, so let's pour one out for our boy Cyrex. We miss you, Doug. As you already know, if they hadn't done a soft reset, which technically brings us to the third timeline, where everyone who died in previous games now is back and better than ever, the Mortal Kombat 11 story would have been quite short without Liu Kang, Kitana, and Kung Lao. And at the end of the story, we are treated to a major reset of the current timeline, Veronica resets the current timeline completely before she is killed by fire god Liu Kang. We are led to believe that the ending we get is the one where Liu Kang and Kitana finally get their happy ending. That was the right one, right?
Our work is finished, Liu Kang.
Lord Raiden.
I am merely Raiden now. You have proven worthy to take my place as Earthrealm's new protector, Lord Liu Kang.
Where do we go from here?
The sands of time are yours to shape. You must return the hourglass to the dawn of time and sculpt a new history. A better one.
The fate of all realms in my hands? Raiden, I cannot do this alone.
Yes. You will need a partner with whom you can share the eons.
Kitana.
Your destinies have always been intertwined.
We are far in the past, but not so far that I cannot reach her.
Return with her to the dawn of time. Sculpt the hourglass's sands to forge a better future. I look forward to meeting again in the next timeline.
Then I will not say goodbye. Are you ready?
Yes. But no matter how we sculpt the sands, we cannot plan for every possibility. Mortals will make their own choices. New evils will arise.
Each realm must choose its own destiny. Whatever those choices, we will face them together.
Unfortunately, that's a no. Because the actual ending was the one where Raiden is your companion. Introducing Aftermath, which completely flips everything we know about MK's current timeline on its head. We go back in time, altering events rather than continuing on in the story. And so basically this is going to be an altered version of the third timeline, which gets chaotic real quick. So let's start with the newly revised end of Mortal Kombat 11 story, where Liu Kang defeats Kronika, but not before the timeline has been erased. Liu Kang begins trying to reset the current timeline with the aid of Immortal Raiden. Suddenly, Shang Tsung, Nightwolf, and Fujin appear with a warning. Restarting history without the crown would destroy the realms as we know it. But the crown is nowhere to be seen in Mortal Kombat 1, which I kind of find a bit interesting when you realize the whole of Aftermath was to get the crown. But it's whatever, I guess. Like, it's just it's a little weird though, right? Because like without the crown, obviously, like maybe Liu Kang found a way to use the hourglass without the crown because he didn't want to use soul magic in the same way that Kronika and Shang Tsung were using it to use the hourglass. So I'm guessing that's kind of like the point here. But even then, like Shang Tsung doesn't have the crown either. So maybe, I don't know, something must have happened with the crown. I guess maybe they'll talk about it one day, or maybe it'll just be one of those little Mortal Kombat mysteries where they don't really jump on it and talk about like what happened with the crown and how the Keepers of Time can now use the hourglass freely without that. Or maybe the crown was just necessarily set up for the reset of the timeline and not anything else, but like you can use regular abilities, which kind of makes sense when you think about like how Liu Kang sent the three of them back in time to fix to try and grab the crown out of the timeline. That is what I think that's kind of like where they're getting at. So if that's the case, then we could let that slide. After discussing with Raiden and Fujin, it's ultimately decided that Liu Kang will send Nightwolf and Fujin along with Shang Tsung to supervise him so they can get the crown safely back to Raiden and Liu Kang. However, the point where they were supposed to be sent to was way further in the timeline than anticipated. They were supposed to go like at the very start of the timeline. Unfortunately, they were sent during the battle with Shao Kahn, where he dies. So it's much later in the timeline than they had originally anticipated. The first real event that was changed is when they defeat Garrus, sending him into the Chaos Realm to have Havoc entertain him. Honestly, taking Garrus out of the fight is probably like one of the major blows to Kronika. Being the steward of the Hourglass it bought time for them to avoid Kronika's gaze while they did what they needed to do. But ultimately, Revenant Liu Kang captures them with some kind of medallion, sending them to the Bone Temple where they meet with their target, Revenant Sindel. Sindel is the person who they've been looking for because they need to bring her back to the living to help fight against Cetrion, which is what they do, right? So they meet with Shiva, and with the help of Shiva, end up bringing Sindel back in order to fight Cetrion. They manage to get the crown, but here is where things go off the rails a little bit. Liu Kang. This is just gonna be a general summary of like all the events that happened to kind of like speed up this process real quick. Liu Kang and Kitana is wrecked by Shao Kahn and Queen Sindel, who was revealed to have been evil the entire time, and her being a nice queen was actually a facade. Now, before I continue, I just kind of want to go off on this little subject real quick. Now, they say Queen Sindel was evil always in Mortal Kombat 11, but that's bullshit, right? Because back in Mortal Kombat 9, they say that she was a good guy, and that that she killed herself in order to create a ward to protect Earthrealm. And now they're trying to say that that wasn't the case. And what was the ward protecting Earthrealm if Sindel didn't give her life to protect Earthrealm? Like, I don't... The story is conflicting, which is why, like, I kind of like the story artists in Mortal Kombat NetherRealm. Like, I wish they would like look back at older games to kind of continue with their stories so they know the route to go, because I feel like with a lot of these Mortal Kombat games especially, it's like they don't have a clear plan of where they want to take the lore. It's like they go game by game versus like going like, okay, we're doing this in this game, but then in the next game we want to continue on with doing this and that. Like, plan the story out like in advance. Like, if you plan the story out, it'll come together better. But instead, you got contradictions all over Mortal Kombat, talking just changing the lore over and over to fit a narrative for a certain game, which in my opinion I think is kind of a bad way of storytelling. But I feel like Mortal Kombat, the original timeline, did this really well. They were able to tell a precise story about events and kept the lore together, like especially throughout like Mortal Kombat 3 moving forward, with the whole story of Scorpion getting Sub-Zero, getting his revenge, and like finding out Quan Chi was the person that killed him in Mortal Kombat 3, and then we see him chasing Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and it just continues on throughout the original timeline. I feel like with the new direction this NRS is taking it, it's like they keep forgetting the story that they put together in the previous games. So I wish they would go back to previous games, look at them, and just continue with the story. Even if you're not going to plan everything out then and there, but just look at your older stories so you can keep a continuation of like where you want the story to go, so it comes out more smoother and not just erratic, like, and full of holes all over the place. You know what I mean? That's like my tangent about it. Like, obviously I'm more of a lore type person, so like I kind of want the lore to make sense without it being thrown all over the place. But anyways, so they're also finally remembered that Sonya and Johnny was in the game, because in the aftermath they were found and they got beat the crap out of them, and they were captured as Sonya and Johnny are, I think they said they were gonna breed them for warriors for the Empire. And then we see Raiden and Fujin get defeated, and they actually get captured because Shang Tsung wants to use them as a power source. And honestly, like, as the final fight begins, we see Shao Kahn, Sindel, and Kronika get their souls stolen by Shang Tsung. Liu Kang eventually arrives to put a stop to Shang's evil plan. Liu Kang allowed all these events to occur because back when him and Fujin were discussing Shang Tsung and the crown, the Hourglass showed him what Shang had planned, which is why he told Fujin to trust him. Liu Kang realized, as a god, now he stood outside of the timeline, and none of the events that would eventually take place would affect him. So he let Shang Tsung win in order to deal with him to get control of the crown. Obviously, like, he knew he would be able to bring his friends back in a new era, and that's kind of like why he did this, even though it's like a little against Liu Kang's character. He would never do that. But at the same time, like, I guess this version of Liu Kang is a little bit different because he's infused with Raiden, who's more of a logical character, and we'll see the bigger picture. So maybe that had like some kind of impact on like his decision. The Aftermath DLC drastically changed the outcome of the battle, creating an altered timeline. I mentioned these events to set the stage for the Khaos Reigns DLC. we are probably going to see some truly epic changes to the current lore of Liu Kang's new era, as the story seems to be a continuation of the current timeline rather than an altering or resetting of it. It is a great step in the right direction, in my opinion. I think there's going to be a time skip, and like in this new story DLC, and foremost considering the original story, there's no mention of Harumi whatsoever. I feel like there will be maybe a 1 2 year to maybe 3 year time difference. Nothing too major, honestly. And like just going back, like off of just what I remember, I don't remember any mention of Harumi throughout the story. Like we only get mentioned that later on, which I'll get into. But I could maybe see there being like a 1 to maybe 3 year time difference. Nothing like too major, but a time difference of a significant value to get a lot of the endings, you know, that we've seen in the game to be in full effect. Matter of fact, if you see Scorpion's ending, we know that he and Smoke fled to Japan to meet with an old family friend, Harumi Shirai, who was now in charge of her clan. And after Scorpion had told her what happened with Bihan and the corruption of the Lin Kuei, she offered her assistance. They begin working on a new clan named after Harumi, the Shirai Ryu. He mentions that Harumi's intellect, beauty, and strengths is like what has started to awe him, and that her help proved invaluable to the creation of this new clan.
No sooner had Titan Shang Tsung been defeated than Bihan and his loyalists hunted us down. Outnumbered, we fled to Japan. There, we sought refuge from an old family friend. As children, we played together. But Harumi Shirai was a woman now, the head of her clan. Her strength, beauty, and intellect awed me. Also incensed by Bihan's betrayal, Harumi agreed to help me forge a new clan, one that would stand against him and defend Earthrealm. Her aid proved invaluable, and as time went on, we grew closer. To honor Harumi and pay respects to my new bride, I named the clan after her, calling it the Shirai Ryu. Now the battle against my brother begins in earnest. The Shirai Ryu won't rest until Bihan is defeated and the Lin Kuei's honor restored.
Now, the key part is the wording. As time went on, so there's a hint at them getting. So this point is really important, right? As time went on, so obviously there's been some kind of time difference with just looking at this story. And then if you look back at other endings, you kind of see the same thing. Honestly, there were like a few times that they were hinted at in the intros that Harumi and Scorpion had already been married, but like
your bride is no stranger to Outworld, Scorpion.
You know of Harumi?
Are the intros canon? I'm not too sure about that. Obviously, like I won't count them as canon. Like, are they canon? Like, I'm not even sure. I think the intros are canon. I think Dom said something about that a while back, so maybe they are canon. But anyways, there's actually 2 times we hear about Scorpion being married with Harumi. So the first time is back at season 1 in Invasions, where an enraged Hanzo is looking for Harumi, and it comes upon this timeline where he sees, you know, Kuai Liang and Harumi being married, and he kind of goes crazy, right? So then the second timeline is where we see an intro. So in the intro, we see Tanya talking about Harumi and how she knows Harumi.
You still haven't told me how you know Harumi.
Only she can tell you.
Which I think is a little weird because like Harumi is in Earthrealm in Japan. Somehow they know her. I don't know. Maybe they'll talk about that inside the story, but it is what it is. Another reason I think there'll be a time skip is because of the Lin Kuei. Well, not cyberized in this timeline. It will still take time for the Lin Kuei to set up an operation to produce these new battle suits for the likes of Sector, Cyrax, and the rest of the Lin Kuei. Finding a facility and staying out of sight would be the first thing on Lin Kuei's list, because like obviously they use magic. Liu Kang's gaze would be immediately on them, so they decided to use science and not magic in order to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish, which is empower like the Lin Kuei.
Then I recalled Shang Tsung's dragon warriors. An army of them would be unstoppable. But trafficking in such strong magic would surely draw Liu Kang's attention. Sector advised that we avoid detection by building our army using science, not sorcery. We've invested much into this endeavor, and we are beginning to see results. Once again proving the depths of Sector's genius. When we are done, all of Earthrealm will honor our desires and heed our demands. If not, they will face the Lin Kuei's wrath.
If we also use the endings of the characters, we'll be able to clearly tell there's some time that has been passed. That is the point I want to make here. But moving on, honestly, I don't think Havoc captured Bihan against his will. More like he enticed him with promises of power. And we all know how Bihan is in this current timeline. He's extremely power hungry. So I believe he would say yes to attaining any kind of new power, without a doubt. Especially when you look at the trailer, he just seems wary of the machines, not at all angry or scared. I believe he wants Sector and Cyrus to get quiet to end their feud at some point, whether it's to convince, whether it's to like fight him or convert him. Either way, you know, I think that's kind of like the route they're gonna go. But somehow Kwai convinces them to either defect to the Shirai Ryu, or maybe Manub wants them to undergo the same process he did with the chaos injections. Maybe that's why they chose to rebel against Noob. Either way, it looks like they swapped sides at some point. That much is pretty obvious in the trailer. There also seems to be new versions of current arenas. When Noob attacks the Fire Temple, or maybe it's the Fire Garden, it's kind of hard to tell because the arena is completely destroyed. There's also like a new area, a new arena, which is, I think it's like the Chaos Realm map. It's pretty sick, dude. I think there's gonna be other versions of maps inside the trailer as well, so like that's something to look forward to. Another part of the trailer shows Havoc attacking the palace, so that could be like I don't know if that's an Outworld palace, or if this is like a version of the Chaos Realms Outworld temple. It kind of looks like it. I don't know. It's weird. Like I'm kind of just like guessing at this point. I think that's what it is. I think it might be like the Chaos Realms version of that, because it looks a little different. So this is my theory on what happens in the story, right? So Sector and Cyrus help Liu Kang and the champions reach the Chaos timeline, but are defeated by Havoc, because we see that in the trailer. Havoc just kind of scrapes the floor with all the heroes. It's kind of like disgusting. Havoc escapes. It looks like they're at the gateway. It strangely looks like where we had to shut off the portals in the story. Maybe they have some kind of reveal, like maybe the fact that Liu Kang's timeline is alpha timeline. So if Havoc wanted to change the timelines, like merging them, it would have to be done there. So as Havoc thinks he won, he begins using the Kamidogus. Everyone finally arrives, but it's a little late. They managed to break the spell after the final battle, and we get something like there's no more time traveling, or there's only one timeline left because they arrived too late. And obviously, I'm sure they'll have subplots for a lot of the characters throughout the story: rivalries, romance, revenge, amongst other things. Personally, I'd love to see like Astra and Reptile's relationship kind of like unfold a little bit more in the story. That would be cool. But anyways, I believe we could see the end of this endgame ride that Mortal Kombat has taken us on. That's what I'm hoping for. I've never really been a fan of the time travel in Mortal Kombat games. It was cool for MK11 because it allowed them to bring back characters that had died in MK9 and forward. But I think it's about running its course. I believe this is the right way to wrap up this new era in a nice bow. Like, let's think about it this way. They can focus on bringing new villains, new characters into Mortal Kombat. That way they could get new stories and adventures. I think the whole time traveling thing holds the series back, if I'm being honest. Like, and I can't wait for them to get rid of it. But that's kind of like how I could see the Khaos Reigns story unfold. I know this video was a long one, but I wanted to give a more in-depth video on what I think the Khaos Reigns story could really look like. But anyways, what do you guys think? Will it unfold this way, or do you guys have a different point of view of how do you think the story will unfold? Like, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Like, obviously, like, you guys know I'm gonna answer the comments back, and I'm gonna look at every comment because, you know, I love talking about the story and Mortal Kombat in general. So if you guys want to have a different opinion, it doesn't matter, you know, as long as it's respectful. But anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, like I said, I know it was a longer one, but you know, I went through a lot to try and put this together for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and leave a like if you liked the video, comment your opinion, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. But anyways, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.